As sentient beings, we find ourselves thrown into a world that inflicts immense pain and suffering. So having the option of a graceful exit should be seen as a basic, universal human right. Since our existence is better to never have been, we should all have the right to die. Welcome to The Right to No Longer Exist, a Right to Die podcast, featuring your hosts, Danny, Kevin, and Amanda. In this show, we attempt to change the perception of society's views of voluntary euthanasia and what true autonomy could look like.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to The Right to No Longer Exist, the Right to Die podcast. I'm Kevin and joined here with Daniel and, Danny and Joey Casey. He's a YouTuber and has a channel called Collapsing with Casey. We're excited to have him here. We were on his channel as a guest and it was just a joy. And we were just loved hanging out with him. And his ideas are basically the same as us. But has great other ideas, and we're glad to have you here. Appreciate you for hopping on with us and hanging out with us.
Yeah,
thank you guys both. I love what you guys are doing, and I really appreciate it. And it's courageous, man. So thank you guys for what you do as well. I'm sorry, Daniel, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I just said thank you for being on the show. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate the appreciations.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's not enough of us having these kind of talks, so it's really special to hang out with you guys.
Yeah, it is. I think it's the more of these conversations that are had, it's just the better, because it can, even if people just see that there's more conversations, whether it's happening or not in the legislation system, it can be perceived as people still, ideas are being evolved, and that alone is worth the fight, and worth just having a chat. And but yeah, what ultimately, I guess, you got you to considering the right to die as a topic that you just, you don't want to say you enjoy. It's not like we're talking about soccer here, but what is there anything that in your life where you kind of evolved to a point where you wanted to kind of talk about this subject or think about it a lot?
Yeah, I've always been pretty suicidal just because of how hard life is when you're poor and you've got no opportunity there. No matter how hard you work, your life depends on you finding a job that pays enough to pay the bills, to give you enough of a quality of life that you're not, for one, working all the time. You're not always behind on rent, your car payment. You're, able to afford food, let alone beer. And it's been a struggle my whole way. My parents were actually, my mom and my stepdad anyway, were actually pretty well off. They were pretty successful, but they didn't share that. And I had a good business. I worked for them at their motorcycle shop, and they're kind of on the mindset of the old school, like pre-Reagan, before Reaganomics and everything, back when you could work at McDonald's and still make enough money to save for a car, a house, or even if you weren't working at McDonald's, you could find a job that you could grow into and retire from. And, that even just whether you get married and have kids and the man works and supports the home or not, or just one person, live alone and stuff like that, which I was always knew I was going to be doing. Those days are so long gone. So, that was decades ago. So I came along and my parents didn't understand that. And so it made it really hard. Like when I saved up for my first truck when I was 13, I was working, shoveling horse shit. So I wasn't even really, it was a real job, but I wasn't on paper. I wasn't in the books. And saved up for my first truck. And then I couldn't afford the insurance because I was still going to, I'm still going to public school. And I couldn't afford the insurance when I turned 16 and got my license because the insurance was so high. The truck was only a $1,500 truck. And my stepdad grabbed me by the throat, threw me up against the wall, or the collar, ripped my shirt up against the wall, and he's holding me by the neck up there, slaps the shit out of me. I'm like, what the fuck, man? How in the hell am I in trouble because I'm fucking poor and I can't make enough money? It's just so, yeah, life has just been ridiculous. My entire life's been ridiculous. And only at the last job that I got was I able to make enough money to save up for a house. And so it all depends on what kind of, finding a job that's good enough. And that job was still stressful. And now I've been fired twice from that job. And I've been out of work again from it. So, I really got a lot, I got a lot past being suicidal once I had this job and met my wife, because she's really cool. She's a loving person. She's the only person that I've ever had in my life that is truly a loving person. So I was super lucky to find her and to have her love me, because it's got to be mutual, right? So I was so lucky by that. But then, the world was just turning to shit so quickly. I knew something was up. I knew that we were, in overshoot in every way, overpopulation in every way, with humans, not animals, unfortunately, except for the animals that we breed to eat, is about just about the only animals almost the only animals that are left on the planet, practically. So I started learning about collapse and more about collapse and human extinction. And then when I found out that I probably shouldn't have opened up that wormhole, I mean, I'm glad I did, but everybody is going to need to find a way out, an exit plan very, very soon, sooner than they think. And that's horrifying. And then, like we all know, we can't get access. It's hard to get any kind of information that's going to give us what we need to know, for a peaceful exit, And in America, we're just going to turn our guns on each other or ourselves. And that's too violent. I mean, can you imagine having to shoot your best friend or yourself to get you out of your misery when, like there was 122-mile-an-hour winds today in the UK. For if you're homeless or your home blows apart, even if you aren't homeless and your home blows apart, you could get sucked up. I mean, that's just no fun. And then who wants to live today when you have to rebuild a house? Things are just collapsing so fast. Yeah, people just don't realize that they're all very soon going to need a peaceful exit.
And yeah, I'm sorry to hear that you had to go through so much hard times. I mean, life is this perpetual grind as we are all on this slow conveyor belt on our way to the chopping block. And I hope at some point that everyone can have the right to get off the conveyor belt and land into a bunch of soft pillows. That's my analogy for the right to a graceful exit. And, I would love to see the peaceful pill decriminalized and readily available to the public. I mean, look how many people have guns, for example. What do you use guns for? You shoot people, you shoot animals, you shoot yourself, and nobody wants to, we don't want to see people going out like that. But with Nembutal or something like that, you can't harm somebody else with Nembutal. You can't, you can't poison them because the shit tastes too bitter. It's something you can have. It's that bottle of control that I think everyone should have. And, that could give them enough energy to keep on living. But yeah, but without that being available, it's just going to keep getting worse. People are still going to continue to blow their brains out. And
it's kind of like the job. It's like the job or the thing in life, the event in life where that everyone is preventing it, or it's the ultimate denial thought. Like I can put off even thinking about death for another day. It's so much easier to sit on the couch, eat potato chips, and watch a movie. And I understand that totally, because it's, who wants to think about this stuff or prepare for this stuff or go through all the work it is, like you were saying about how it is hard to prepare any sort of thing like this whatsoever, because everything's against you, and you're a criminal being created when you're not a criminal. Your intent is never to be a criminal. They're just creating a criminal out of you because of prohibition, and that's shitty. That's a crime in and of itself. And and so yeah, it's just it's just it's sad. It's sad, and that we can't figure out a way and a solution to this problem, because we've done it for all kinds of other things. We've if you don't want to wear a seatbelt, you don't wear a seatbelt, and yeah, you could get a ticket, but like you're still somewhat having a choice to do it without harming anybody else. But that's a bad analogy maybe, but you know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot of it's about this like the right to your own autonomy, and that you get to have a choice for what you do with your body, because you were born here and you didn't ask to be here. So you should have an option to exit peacefully, because yeah, you're going to hurt some family members and stuff if you go, but you're going to hurt them anyway. It's going to happen anyway if you die a natural death, you know. So anyway, yeah, it's the idea of this collapse came honestly new to me from you, Joey. So I appreciate it, because I didn't do too much of the research, and I've been trying to learn as much as I can from you, and others that you surround your community with about that. And is there anything you'd like to share about that's informative, or anything that would make people think? Because it made me think, and I'll admit I didn't think so much about it in the way that you have talked about it, which I really appreciate.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Uh, when I was looking into, extinction and the previous extinctions throughout the 450 or billion-ish years on this planet, I wasn't finding anything. All I could find was, like, listening to Democracy Now! They say, oh, in 2050, such and such city is going to be fossil fuel free. And I'm like, that is, we won't be here in 2050. And I didn't know then what I did know, what I knew now. I just felt that, there's no way that we're going to keep putting this off to fix the climate, to stop polluting the earth like we do. And I just couldn't find anything of anybody. Everything that you hear in the media is scientists, such and such happened, and scientists can't explain it. And I'm like, after I found some scientists that know what they're doing, and we'll talk about it, and some other journalists as well, it was like, I know some scientists that know why this happened. Why did the birds fall from the sky? I know somebody that knows, and he's real. He's a scientist. But a friend of mine I'm a reptile guy too. I raised, and I'm really big into reptile keeping, and I got involved with conservation through that and volunteered. And one of the friends I made in that, he recommended 3 scientist names, or 3 people that I look up. And the first 2 I wasn't too impressed with. I was like, yeah, whatever, they're not really teaching me anything. But the third person he said was Guy McPherson. And so I checked him out, and I watched a YouTube video. And the first thing that he said was that he was an atheist, an atheist scientist, and believes in anarchy. And I was like, thank you. Finally, because I don't understand why all these scientists are religious. That doesn't go together. That's like that's how you get dirty cops. If you find a clean cop at cops, or a clean guy goes into police work, he's gonna, all around the other bad apples, it's gonna spoil him too, because that's the way the system, is set up to make cops become. And just right off the bat, man, I just loved what this guy was saying, as far as how honest he was. I didn't love what he was saying because it was horrible. It was frightening, but the honesty, that I really appreciate that, no matter how bad the news is. It used to be when you went to a doctor years ago, decades ago, and you were diagnosed with a deadly illness, doctors wouldn't tell you. And nowadays we know that is malpractice, and like Guy talks about all these other scientists that are saying, oh, if we just end fossil fuels, we will, that everything will go back to normal right away, and that's complete bullshit. All the animals that we've driven extinct, we drive 150 to 200 animals extinct every day, or species every day. They're gone. Extinction is forever. So, like Michael Mann is a great example. He says he's one of those that say, because he's a big government, the media loves him. And he says that if we stop burning fossil fuels, everything will go back to normal, which is such a bullshit lie. It's really fucked up. And he takes, he'll single out Guy and say, oh, Guy McPherson and all of, the people that believe in what he says, they're all paid by big oil, and we're all like, what? Nobody's paying us, And Michael Mann went to Penn State. Oil. He's the fucking oil man, calling the non-oil men oil men. It's the whole game is such a con. And of course, anybody that speaks the truth to power like that, they're going to be ostracized if their name gets big enough. And I was on National Geographic right around 2015 saying that there won't be a human on the planet in 2030. Of course, you couldn't say that on TV, any channel now, because that would be, there's too much more has come apart. There's been so much more collapse and disasters that at least, back then you could kind of, a lot of people still thought climate change was a democratic hoax, like the coronavirus. They said was the coronavirus was a democratic hoax. I mean, it's just insane what, these terms and how they discredit people. But I want to see somebody, instead of discredit, that Guy or any scientist or any whistleblower for that matter, don't discredit the person. Prove to me, show me where the science is flawed. Show me where Michael Rupert, what he was talking about before I don't know if you guys know Michael Rupert, but he was a great CIA whistleblower. And he shot himself because his health might not have been perfect at that point, but the CIA was destroying him. They canceled all his bank accounts and credit cards, so he had no money. People were, he was surviving through people who appreciated his work and were taking care of him. So it's just a really shitty, it's such a shitty system for anyone that does speak truth to power. If you get, if you're famous about it. Michael Rupert was on C-SPAN calling out. That's how he got his start and got really famous, was he was on C-SPAN live calling out. There was a big, the drug czar visited a high school in California where he was an LA cop. And he knew he had absolute proof of the CIA running and drugs through the police force in Southern California. And I was in the Coast Guard too, so I kind of understand how the government runs drugs through my involvement with the Coast Guard. I went there right out of high school. So I could understand that. So I was really excited to see Michael Rupert talking about that. And he called out the drug czar, and he said, the drug czar said, if anyone has any information of any police wrongdoing, bring it to my attention. And Michael Rupert stood up and they gave him the mic, and he said, he laid it all out there. He named the operations. He named like 3 operations, and just laid it out there, and the whole place lit up because they knew, the people, it was so rampant in LA that people knew what was going on, and that place lit up when he spoke. And and like I said, it's so sad that that And then, yeah, as you guys might know too, people get blamed for when Michael Rupert killed himself. People blamed Guy McPherson because they wound up getting together and knowing each other, and so people would. There were people that blamed Guy McPherson for Michael Rupert's. There was somebody that blamed me for a death of somebody that we're all in the same group with. In following, human extinction. Person appeared on my channel a couple of times, and I pulled the episodes off of YouTube. I didn't want any backlash. Of course, I didn't kill this person or help them commit suicide. We talk just like we all talk, and can talk about methods. I'm open to talk about methods because I need methods myself, because that's the other thing that's so fucked up about all of this is you got to get your own information, you got to do your own research, and then plans fail. Even if you try to shoot yourself, you might slip and miss. And Michael Rupert talked about that when he was on Joe Rogan one time years ago. He talked about all the times that he walked into what was possibly a murder or a suicide scene. It would be a suicide, and the person slipped and they weren't dead, and now they're really fucked up. They're not dead. It's just, it's just awful. It's why do we set up this system that creates those kind of issues and those kind of problems? It's insane.
Yeah, I think people have a perception about life that it's always good to live and continue living and have life, and dying and death is always bad. And that's a big thing that needs to get changed around, because you kind of first have to prove how is it a negative to not exist and to not experience emotions and feelings like negative, very severe negative emotions and feelings, which we know the depths of that are way deeper than the heights of any high could ever be. So why aren't we giving people like these side effects are brutal too, you know what I mean? Like I had that with my brother. Like he shot himself, and I found out later that he used the wrong bullet. I just did some research and found out how he got the bullets, whatever. But he used the Full Metal Jacket bullet and not a hollow point. Those don't, you know what I mean? Like it haunts me to this day that he could have suffered so long by blood loss rather than just blunt trauma to the head from a hollow point. And these are severe suffering and crimes that should be accounted for, and someone should be responsible. No one's being held responsible for these evil fucking crimes that are being committed, because it always looks like it's committing a crime upon yourself or whatever. But no, like the society and laws we create around us are the ones that like are determined for that person to be on in a alleyway behind a garbage can trying to slit their wrists with a butter knife or whatever kind of wacky method they're trying to do. And it's sad, because think about how many deaths by suicide. It's like 1 million per year, and most of those, those are successful suicides. How many unsuccessful suicides are there? Failed attempts. It's probably triple that. I don't know the number, but holy shit. I can't even imagine how bad that of a crime that could be if you did that to somebody else, not just yourself. You know what I mean? It would be, everyone would be screaming, on the streets, fix this problem. This is a big problem. Sorry, Danny, go ahead. I was just ranting there.
And it's like, I totally agree, of course. And that's why, I think the peaceful pill should be decriminalized. Think about all the people who would just exit peacefully. We want to take all the nooses and guns away from people as possible. And the only way to do that, when it comes to ending your life, and the only way to do that is through legalization. And also people wouldn't have to turn to the black market where they are likely to be scammed. Blood is on the hands of these pro-lifers. their ignorance, their, desire to control others. The right to die should be seen as an integral part of bodily integrity. It's like it should be in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, as I said before. It should be in every national constitution. Right to bear arms, you should have the right to bear Nimbital.
I agree, man. That's beautifully said, Daniel. And one thing I forgot to mention earlier when I was on my rant is it's like you need all these other backup plans too, because none of these, because it's not legal, there's nothing that's really officially works that it's so untested, and like it's so fucked up. So you got to have, like, we were joking one night on a private Zoom with me and some friends, in that you got to have the rebreather, and in case that doesn't work, you also need to drink a whole lot. You need to eat a lot of pills, drink a whole lot, and that way, if nothing else works, you need to be sitting on the dock, at the edge of the dock, so that when you pass out and fall off, now you're going to fall in the water and drown. So with all of these like linked events together, eventually one of the 3 or 5 methods that you're going through all at the same time will work, even if the worst thing is you pass out and drown. Drowning is one of my biggest fears. Gunshot, fire, and drowning, right around the same level of fear for me. But if I'm passed out, then drowning doesn't seem so bad.
Oh yeah, totally. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. Go ahead, buddy.
I was like, yeah, if you're not aware of the suffering, then yeah, it's not going to hurt. It's like, no harm can come to a corpse. A corpse can do no harm. There's no problem. There's no bullshit. But the bullshit peddlers are the hope peddlers, the candy danglers who dangle, hope over people's head. They force it down our throats. They shove it up our asses. And it's like they're going to hope us to death. And we have to have the right to say, no, this is unacceptable. We should have the freedom of speech to say, to the medical industrial complex or whatever, all the other organizations that believe that everybody should be kept alive, no, you're full of crap. Tell me where it's, give me an objective reason as to why being dead is bad, or wanting to take the shortcut to the void is bad. Give us a solid reason, not some romanticized version of what you think life is with your fairy tale happy ending narratives.
Excellent. That's a great point. It's awesome stuff. It's so true. I mean, you can't, it's just disgusting because they always spin it and they stick their little shit on top of the, like thoughts of, but Johnny, Johnny survives his attempt. And they go, Johnny, what did you think about your attempt or whatever? And he'll somehow be almost coerced into saying that he regretted the action. But, it's almost like he's saying he regrets. He feels regret because he's still alive. If he was dead, he wouldn't have regrets, for one. And two, he probably, if he was really honest, because he knows he lives in a Nazi life-loving world, that he regrets the fact that he's being coerced into saying that he regrets what he did, when he's just saying, I regret not being successful. That's the big key part,
And the media, they always cover these success stories where people survived and they're happy that they're alive, but they never cover the millions who failed and are like, are damaged for years because, they still hate life. So the media is not being fair when it comes to this. It all has to be a pro-life narrative. We live in a world that is basically filled to the brim with pro-life occultists, and we need to do everything we can to stand up to these people. And it's scary for a lot of people to speak out openly, I understand, but we have to create this environment so we can talk freely about it without these people harassing us, asking like, are you okay, for example. It's like, how can anybody truly be okay in a world that is fundamentally not? It's like you might feel okay, but yeah, at the end, you know, you're going to be grounded up. It's like, that's why, you know, trying to make a point, sorry, you know, pancreatic cancer is one of the most deadliest cancers because people feel okay until like the fourth stage. And then, you know, they realize that they're in deep shit.
Yeah, it's of no measure of good health to be, you know, to be in a profoundly sick society. And I'm sorry, I forget, I can't pronounce the name of who said that. That's not my quote, but that is so right, man.
Yeah, it reminds me of what's the phrase? It might be equivalent, but it's like if you feel crazy in a crazy insane asylum, that doesn't mean you're crazy. That just means you're witnessing crazy and you feel uneasy.
Yeah,
it doesn't make you
feel
crazy.
what you're witnessing. Yeah.
And that's what this world is like. It's what I feel like when I walk around and I see these people, like Danny said, like, are you okay? The are you okayers, you know? And they say that, I'm just instantly suspect of them. I'm like, well, why are you asking me that? Obviously, nobody's ever okay. They just can. Yeah, oh, it's just disgusting. It's insulting, and they have to use these tactics to dance around it too, because they know that if you say no, I'm not okay, next thing you know, an hour later, you're in handcuffs in a fucking hospital somewhere, involuntarily being charged the bill. Who wants that?
Yeah, it's just more problems stacking on top of more problems. And if you're already to that point to where life is so bad you want out, that's not gonna fucking help.
Yeah, it's like,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just thinking of a funny analogy of like a cop that's like a life cop, you know, that's his name is like S Life or something, and he's saying like, don't resist, you know, while he's handcuffing you. It's like, yeah, well, I want to resist. Why you threw me here? Fuck, why whatever. Sorry, buddy.
Well, he's handcuffing you and tasing you.
I mean, how in the hell do these people get all this power? You know, if you have a PhD, you have the right to control me. Screw you, you know? And we are sick of it. We are, you know, so we got to.
The right response should be us screaming on the microphone right now. You know what I mean? I mean, it's actually pretty, like, it's pretty, like, I don't know the word, sorry, like, we're being fairly rational and reasonable in a situation where we should be like screaming on the streets with a bullhorn, or even right now just yelling into the microphone, because that's what we're fighting against. That's the slavery we're literally fighting against, is life slavery. Like, you're enslaving me to live in this shit meat body, and I never asked for it. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, why can't you just give me an option to, you know? But to deny me of that because you think, you know, God is going to be hurt, his feelings are going to be hurt if I do this, you know, and you're using my body as a tool for a totem to your God. Fuck you for that, you know?
Yeah,
Exactly. You know, we got to raise a little hell, you know, a whole lot of hell, because we're up against so much. We're up against the whole world. We're up against even atheists. I mean, there's atheists who don't realize, well, since there's no sky wizard anymore, it's like, yeah, the right to die, that should be natural. Like, that should, you know, that philosophy should come naturally with atheism. Like, you know, when I mailed my letters out, a lot of them were to atheist groups. I got none back from it, you know, like American atheists and stuff like that. So nobody's talking about it. The human and civil rights organizations around the world, they don't give a flying shit. And so it's time for us to be our own movement. And it's, you know, it's like the more I'm involved with the right to no longer exist, the more I realize that it's going to have to be from a grassroots level. We're going to have to embolden people to speak out about it and support. And then maybe, you know, the elites or something might follow. I don't know, but we're not going to get anywhere if we hang on the coattails of these vanilla right to die organizations.
Yeah, it's a bummer, man. Unfortunately, because we have such a little voice, there's no action politically, no matter what you do. I think the best thing that we can really hope for is just having these conversations. I went to a huge protest in Atlanta. It was when Trump was in power. It was massive. It was a mile long. There was no media. So here's finally a protest. It was the biggest protest I've ever seen in my life. We were literally a mile long march, and there was zero. The helicopters were flying overhead. All the media was there. There was none of it actually broadcast. I found on the Atlanta Journal website there was a picture of everybody gathered at the courthouse, and it was like at an angle like that, so you only saw a few people. And it's, and people were even joking like, yeah, oh man, great job, 5 people showed up. And it was a lot. It was a lot to do with about women's rights. It was a pro-abortion protest, and it was massive. I couldn't believe, like, I was so excited. It was so fulfilling to be around that many people who were all fighting for a good fight. And then when there was no media about it, it was so blacked out. That's when it really hit me. I never went to a protest again. I think I went to one more. I went to one more protest, and I got so mad I left, because I realized how much I was wasting my time. Just like when I used to volunteer in conservation, when I realized how fucked everything is, and that we're not gonna change our ways, we're not gonna stop growing the planet. I couldn't volunteer anymore, and then and trying to talk to other people, and even the president of of organizations, it turns out they're all pro-war, they're all pro-capitalism. They think if we save a fucking salamander that we're doing a good thing. They don't get it. They don't get the big picture, and it's really fucked up. So it turns out it's really all about the money. And that's another thing I love about, Guy talks about that, and he connects the dots, because he is an emeritus professor, scientist. He's a conservation biologist. So he really understands, and can explain what I saw the whole time. Just about how money is in control of everything. Trying to find a good doctor, especially, that'll talk to you like a psychologist, psychiatrist. That'll talk to you and understand your pain and have empathy for you, wanting to, consider suicide. They can't do anything they not only can't do anything to help you, to really help you, but they don't get it. They don't get it because the system that taught them to perform their job, their service, was corrupt. Think about, schools. Schools are based on their sports teams, not on their educational value. And how in the hell does that make any sense? How in the hell are we going to create, an intelligent society when you don't have money for books, but the stadium is pristine? That's what it's all about. Johnny's going to be a football star, so we're going to help him make his grades so that he can play football, and he's going to get away with, rape and murder and all kind of crazy shit, because the town loves him because he's a great football player. Oh fuck.
Yeah, like the athletes or the jocks or whatever, they get the gold star treatment. But if you're struggling in some kind of special ed class, you're going to get bullied, you're going to get picked on, you're not going to have a good education. Even if you want to learn, the teachers are going to be the worst. So yeah, life is fundamentally unfair. Fairness and life does not click, does not go together, because it's part of evolution. We evolved to fight. We didn't evolve to, smoke peace pipes. And when we do, that's only like phases, and then the war, rages on. It just, to me, it's like life is this, what sparked life 600 million years ago is just led to nothing but the negative. I mean, I don't think it's impossible for the positives to outweigh the negatives.
Yeah, you really see people choose ignorance, especially in the age of the internet. All the information is out there if you intelligently look for it, and can decipher what's bullshit and what's real. And it's, people just shit out kids and go, here, government, you take care of them for the day while I go to work. They get on the yellow bus and go to be. It's a system. It's what's the word I'm trying to? Where the government can make you think and believe and feel however they want to their benefit, and that they're going to do that. I love homeschooling, but most people aren't fit to be parents anyway. So having them homeschool their kids, now they're going to be really crazy because they don't have differing opinions or differing, basically differing, not just even opinions, but facts. So you're probably not going to learn about how bad slavery was back in the day. You're probably not going to learn anything good, and how important somebody like Martin Luther King was. You're just going to lose all of that. And of course, even now in regular school, they don't teach any of that. Everything I learned about Martin Luther King in public school was that he was helping Black people, helping free Black people. And then as I got older, I realized it wasn't just Black people, man. He was a civil rights, activist. He wanted everybody to be free. If one person is in prison, none of us are free. One of us isn't free, none of us are free, And of course, that's not saying let all the murderers murder. No, we're talking about nonviolent criminals, people that are stuck in jail because they can't pay a fine because they're poor, and there's no opportunity for them to go out and make enough money to pay for the parking ticket, where their car got towed, and they don't even have a fucking car to go to work.
Yeah, it's some great points. And to your point about the having kids thing, yeah, the government makes it so where it encourages you to have as many children as possible. You can have 10 children, the government will pay for everything. But if you're disabled, if you're physically disabled, can't work, you might be on SSI, but you will still be punished into poverty because, they won't give you enough to have the resources. So you will be punished in poverty. You will be forced into the ghettos where there's drugs and violence and more dysfunction. But yeah, if you want to create more need machines, have at it. We're going to pay for everything. We're going to pay for somebody else's to impose life. See, if you're already here, it's like, well, you're screwed. You can't be euthanized. You can't have a stable income. It's like we're just stuck by this screwed up system.
Yeah, we pay school tax. I've never shouted out a kid, and I gotta pay for, like, that's totally fucked. And I'll even go a little bit further. Religion, in my opinion, creates more pedophilia. The same thing like you were talking about, Danny, that in how, if you get all these tax credits and stuff for having kids, well, in religion, every sperm is sacred, right? So, little Judy's, well, she's 13 now. She might be able to have a kid. So religion encourages people to have as many kids as possible. That's insane. No wonder we're in such an overshoot, overpopulation on this, with almost 8 billion, right around 8 billion people on this planet. And where everywhere you go, there's people. If there's not water or desert, there's pavement and people. And that's really, you can't do that to to a planet that has life on it, because it's not going to provide life for very long after that.
And not
So, little Judy, man, somebody needs to get her pregnant. She's 13 now. She's she's ready to go. And dude, that's fucked up. That is so fucked up. I can't stand religion so
yeah,
much because of that kind of nonsense.
religion is poison. I hate religion with every fiber of my being. But one thing that really does piss me off, another thing, is the fact that they're tax exempt. They get tax exempt status because they believe in a magic fairy tale. It's like, you can form the Church of Santa Claus and you can get a whole bunch of money. And I also noticed these hope peddlers, these motivational speakers like Tony Robbins, all these shit slingers. They have over $500 million and billions of dollars, and some even have over $1 billion, and they are doing nothing but talking about hope and how it can get better. These people don't have a conscience. If they did, they would give this money away to people who fucking need it. And it's like, with Tony Robbins, for example, it's like he charges people $10,000 to go see his seminars. He's basically a cult leader. And if you got people, there's people who are about to lose their homes who need that money, but it's going to the churches, it's going to other crap, it's going to encourage people to procreate, it's going to all these motivational life coach. And I mean, if you need a life coach, you're beyond help. I mean, what's that even mean, a life coach? I've always hated that word. I feel like ranting today.
Well, you're doing good, buddy. It's awesome.
Yeah, man. Like George Carlin says, there's that God needs money,
Yeah.
Money
money is an issue, but I think ideology is probably the most vicious of it all, because it just shows it's the wolf in sheep's clothing, it's malicious intent covered up by pretty intent, and this benevolent kind of notion that life is a gift, so maintain it at all costs and create it at all costs and preserve it at all costs. And I would say a big portion of the prohibitionists, or the side that's against the right to die, are the ones that are been indoctrinated by this ideology that life, like God gave you this life, and so now you have some big purpose behind it, and you have a mission, and it's his mission to decide. It's not yours to decide, even though you have free will, I guess. But you don't have free will when it comes to committing suicide. You can't do that whatsoever. But this notion that you have to fucking preserve life at all costs, and life is always a gift and it's a benefit, and every struggle that you go through it has a purpose behind it. I mean, how sadistic is that for a God that makes someone truly suffer, but to no benefit, right? We know that people come out of suffering or don't come out of chronic ailments happy or better, or being like, man, glad I went through that, I'm a better person. No, they become bitter and pissy and or they just never come out of it at all. I've had chronic ailments my whole life. They're probably never going to go away, but I've never been like, oh geez, I'm so thankful that I've got this, and there's a purpose behind it. And anyway, I'm just saying money is brutal, yeah, but the ideas are probably just as evil, if not more.
And like any cult leaders, they love bomb you. They tell you that you matter, and you might be living in squalor, and these people are saying it gets better. Tell a group of kids in Somalia how better it's going to freaking get, and that they matter. How can you feel like you matter when society don't treat you like you do? If you're about to jump off a bridge, people will be crowded around you saying, we love you, we care about you, you matter so much. But if you step off that bridge and walk away, they will just scatter. They will never think about you again.
My favorite thing to ask people who are pro-life is, have you ever euthanized your sick or old pet? You know, it's so fucked up that's totally normalized. Yet because it's not a human, it's okay that they don't have to suffer. That makes absolutely no sense to me. I just can't, and I can't understand why other people can't connect that such simple dots.
Exactly. You know, all life is built to fail. We are all going to rot. It's like, so, you know, why not hasten it if you want to? It's like, what? You can't save a life. You can only prolong it. I know I said that before, but it is true. So you're prolonging the life. You're not saving anything.
Or you're also putting them at risk for a potential much more dangerous situation. So let's say they survive cancer at 21 and yay, you know, Bobby made through the cancer. He's a fighter. Good for him. Right. Like, but we never gave him an option to prevent a future suffering. Cause let's say at 31, he ends up mangled in some other horrific accident or something where he's paralyzed, you know, surgeries, etc., for the next 4 decades. If he knew that that was what was going to happen to him at 31, at 21 with his cancer, he probably would have been like, nope, I'm okay here. I'll sign up for the right to die, please. I don't want to, you know. And the fact that we never know when that date comes, it could be today, it could be tomorrow, and how bad it could get, that alone is justification for a legal right to die.
Absolutely. And what if somebody attempted and, you know, they, you know, the pro-lifers convinced them to choose life. So now they're feeling better. And then, you know, they have a motorcycle accident where, you know, they experience road rash so bad that their freaking spine is sticking out. I mean, the fact that this is possible alone scares the crap out of me and makes me hesitate. It makes me say, well, maybe this life thing isn't good. So it's like, yeah, we're the total opposite of, you know, what you know, the 90% of people tend to believe.
Yeah, I really think that we're like an equal opposite effect of the 1%. You know, you've got the 1% that run everything, that own everything, that control the media information, have all the money, hoard all the money, and we're all the ones fighting over the crumbs, and they get us to fight each other and fight their wars to keep them, you know, their profits keep skyrocketing. Um, it's just so fucked in that way. Really, really sad.
And if you were like, let's say you're 18 and you say, Mom, I think I'm going to join the military. Yeah, I'm going to be a killing machine. You know, they'll be proud of you. Of course, there'll be tears too, but they'll be so proud of you. If you go to Afghanistan or something, you know, you're brave, you're a hero. But, you know, if you say, Mom, I want to die, I'm going to go to Switzerland, they'll do everything they can to hold you back.
Yep,
You can
that's
be
a
a killer.
good point.
You just can't peacefully end your own life. And it's ridiculous. We live in a spiritual psych ward, if you ask me.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a great point, Danny. I was thinking about that earlier too, and how well I thought about it a lot since my only option was to join the Coast Guard or go in the military because there was no jobs that were going to pay me enough to pay rent and make a car payment, let alone enjoy my life or eat. So that's what, you know, and that's part of the system that's on purpose, done on purpose to get makes it easy to get people to go fight your wars. Like I was saying, we people that see the world for what it really is, like we do, and have these conversations and understand, you know, how outnumbered we are. We are literally the 0.01%, you know, the equal opposite of the elites. You know, and then the 99.8% in the middle are all just fighting fighting each other over crumbs. It's, you know, they pit us against each other so that we don't collectively turn on them.
Yeah, it's disgusting. You drive through a city, you know, and you go, you could drive in a city and see like mansions on suburb hills, you know, and then within 5 minutes time, you could see homeless people on street corners, you know, just filled, or people in trailers just clearly living, you know, poverty lives. And you're just like, where's the fairness? Shouldn't fairness be first here somehow? Shouldn't have something to do with it?
Yeah, exactly.
In
Oh,
poor areas, you see more churches and more liquor stores than anywhere else. And where I used to work is was one of the best known crime areas for drugs and prostitution. I worked in an industrial area. Anybody that is familiar with Atlanta, Georgia, I worked on Fulton Industrial Boulevard at a shop where we sold and maintained street sweepers and sewer vac equipment and stuff like that. That's kind of where those kind of places go. They go into those kind of businesses go into industrial areas. Well, with all these, drug dealers and hookers running around right there in the whole area where I worked, you had an airport right next door, right down the street, sorry. At the airport was Georgia State Patrol. Across from Georgia State Patrol in the airport is SWAT. And then just down the road a little ways is DeKalb County or Fulton County Police Department. So you've got all this police power presence, and and I'd see the police talking to a hooker, and I'd be like, well, she's probably going to go away for a while. I'm not gonna, because you'd see the same people going to work there every day, but no, I'd leave for work, and I'm like, oh, she didn't get arrested after all. I mean, I really wanted to kind of befriend some of those people and ask them some stories about the cops, because I know that they all know the cops, and there's definitely connections there. You know, maybe if there's a good cop working, they don't work when that good cop is out there, because he might bust them or something like that. But they're also crooked. I know that they're all just making deals, and that's if you're a cop and you plant drugs on people, when you pull them over and plant drugs to make more arrests, you're gonna go up the ladder, and that's kind of the way the whole system works. It's just so stacked up against good, honest people.
yeah, exactly. And, we have to take evolution into account. Evolution has, we're like kind of apex predators. So we tend to prey on each other. That's a horrible reality. So it's like, you put an apex predator in a uniform and badge, and that makes them a hell of a lot more scary. I used to, when I was married down in Texas, we lived in a small town with a bunch of crooked cops. They would, they would pay these, or they would let the drug addicts go who would, do sexual favors and all that. But they would pull you over if you wasn't even speeding and charge you a ticket. It happened to my ex-wife twice, and she wasn't speeding. And when she had her car wreck, she had to take off her seatbelt, and in order to, call somebody from her cell phone. And the police kept hounding my ass for 3 days about, does she wear a seatbelt? Does she, because they were trying to get her to they charged her without wearing a seatbelt, even though they had no evidence of this. So she had to go, like 2 weeks after she was discharged from the hospital, go to a crowded court in severe pain to have her, her ticket ripped up. But yeah, all the hookers and drug dealers and stuff, yeah, they seem to get away with a lot in that area.
Yeah, I don't get, it's kind of, but humans are so weird, man. They just get programmed into some sort of thinking and then they just follow like sheep. And it's weird how some people, I like to think people like us are folks that can see outside the box, or at least place themselves outside of a situation and be like, wait, what's the thinking behind this? But stuff like I watch just for fun, like First Amendment audits and stuff with people that just go into a city hall lobby with with a cell phone. Next thing you know, they have 6 cops up on them, with handcuffing them, throwing them to the ground, and or they're just playing these weird semantic verbiage games, where they're just like trying to fish them for a gotcha moment. And it's just, are you wearing those pink pants you have on? And the person, has to verbally say yes. And if they do, they got them or something. But I don't know. It's unfortunate that we can't live in a world where everyone understands everything equally. A cop always has this advantage on the random person that doesn't study law, obviously, but they don't use that to their advantage and be like really sweet about it. And hey, this is the law. We'll just let you know we breaking it. No, they use that as a tool against you and just be, oh, no, they have no clue what they're doing. So let's lure them into a situation where we can get them busted and whatever. And I can get that when you're trying to, catch a serious criminal, some rapist, pedophile or whatever. But it's always these petty little stupid arbitrary jaywalking tickets or something. And you're just like, man, this is the world I live in. Why do I live in a world like this where all this corruption is going on? And it's just, it's exhausting and it's deflating, you know what I mean? To see this every day, especially with our frame of mind. It's definitely hope. It makes you feel really hopeless and stuff about a future, and any sort of have any sort of optimism that things will get better is almost never happens for me. That's all I see is collapse in every form, basically at all. I just take a trip to the grocery store and I see failure written on every single thing I look at. Anyway.
Yeah, absolute power, corrupts absolutely. It's like a cascading, it, everything building up. This particle meets up with this particle, and it just becomes a snowball effect of all of the different mechanisms and atrocities and corruption come together in one big snowball, and we just keep getting worse and worse and worse. Nothing ever gets better. I've never voted. I voted one time. I voted for Bernie. In the first election. What was it, 2020? Maybe, I don't remember. Not 2016, but I think it was. And I saw what happened, and and for one, I had to go to a church to vote. That was really fucked up, and it pissed me off. And then just to see what they did to him, and then when he ran again in the last election, I was just cracking up, going, "It's history is not supposed to repeat itself that soon. It's supposed to take a while, but hell no." And and then I got to thinking about it too. Nazi Germany, Hitler wasn't that long ago. There are people alive today that were there or remember it, whether they were there or not. And yet here we are. We're right back, and it didn't start yesterday. We're already back to being as bad, if not worse. Well, we're actually worse than what Nazi Germany was. We have way more power, way more bombs, now way more powerful bombs, more nuclear bombs. Again, absolute power corrupts absolutely. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Operation Paperclip, but when Nazi Germany got knocked down, the American government hired a bunch of Nazis to infiltrate the CIA and different levels of our government. They were just, and that their purpose was everything that they did wrong well, we're going to do it again. We're not going to make those same mistakes that Nazi Germany made. So we can keep it going longer, keep it hidden, have more of a success rate. And yeah, it worked. Here we are.
I thought Operation Paperclip was when I might be mistaken, but after World War II, we went and got a bunch of these Nazi scientists who were into rocketry and brought them over to the United States. And that's how we were able to get to the moon, by the way, in 1969, just because, we had all these scientists from Nazi Germany who helped NASA and stuff like that.
Yeah, it wasn't just the scientists and NASA. There was the CIA and other a lot of those guys went into the CIA. Yeah, it was really to take whatever went wrong in Germany, so where they would not make those same mistakes again. And when I say mistakes, I mean mistakes that got Germany to lose their power. To keep kind of maybe slow down. I'm trying to think of the right way to put it, but maybe slow down the corruption a little bit so that it doesn't cause another world war just yet. To take that same mentality and that same approach to build the next empire, which obviously is the American empire.
Disgusting. I hate when people that talk about how things are getting better and all this crap, and I just want to laugh and be like, what? Internet? That's really everything? 50 million people dying in World War II justifies the internet? That justifies TikTok. I mean, it's sickening though. Like, we think we've gotten better when just in the past century was, what I mean, the Holocaust, slavery. I mean, even my mom remembers slavery to this day. Like, people are alive and remember it, and she's like, yeah, I remember. Yeah, it's separate drinks and the buses were all secluded and whatever. And I'm just like, but people think things are just fine now. Like, everything, to me, that sounds like medieval shit that happened 6,000 years ago. But nope, in my mom's lifetime that happened. So we haven't improved at all. It's all just maybe a veneer of improvement because we have squeakier cars, or whatever, cleaner cars.
Yeah, we got more bells and whistles, and everybody think that solves the problems when it actually creates more problems.
And yeah, I mean, every advancement that we make, it comes with a price. Like, okay, we have a highway system, right? We have cars, but now we have millions of vehicle accidents every day or every once a year. Like, I was going to make another there.
Too many people on the road.
Yeah. Wonderful. I like the internet. I'm not anti-internet, but then you have a lot of hackers. You have, bunch of, it's like nothing can just be good, just plain good. Everything has to come with a cost.
Yeah, we're hunter gatherers, and we've been compartmentalized into these little boxes, and there's no hunter gathering other than the purpose to go get money, which is really not real. It's not natural when you think about it. Money's completely fake. If you find a squirrel that's hungry, and if I give the squirrel $1, he's not going to know what to do with it. It's just, give me a nut, man. What the hell do I do with this thing? This is useless.
Well, things are scary if it's like you take off the supply chain and within 3 days there's complete mayhem. I mean, like guns on the streets and type of mayhem, within 3 days. That's to me doesn't seem like a stable society whatsoever. That's fact makes me scared.
It is scary because we're almost out of fuel, and when we run out of fuel, that's exactly what's going to happen. In the meantime, it's going to continue to go up, and less people are going to be able to afford it. But there's going to come a time, possibly very soon, where there's not even going to be any fuel left, for the people, and you can't go to the stream and drink out of the stream anymore, or the creek or the lake or the, the pond or whatever, because it's all dirty, it's all polluted, it's all tainted. And when real collapse happens, it's going to be even worse. People are going to be shitting and pissing in the waters and throwing all their shit. All the plants are going to shut down and leak everything into the the water system. Um, you know, about 3 days without water, you die, and that doesn't sound like a good way to go. It's not my choice. I'm definitely gonna want something that's gonna mitigate that suffering.
Well, yeah, it's funny in these apocalyptic movies that you see that they always, worship this hero guy that's fighting all he can to do to survive this big event that happened, whatever it is. And the whole movie, they're going through all of this struggle, right? And then like killing people, being killed, starving, stealing their food, being stolen from, all of this, the whole movie. And I'm just saying, for what? Or at the end, they even have a baby or something. It's all this cute baby ending. And I'm like, what the hell is happening here? Is it just me, or do I actually think the hero is the guy that jumped off the bridge 2 hours ago?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's like, we expect fairy tale happily ever after endings when it never happened. It's like, what do they say? What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Well,
Yep.
keep, life, perpetuating life is like a prime example of that. Oh yeah, this time it will work. Yeah, it will work this time.
Yeah, it's insane, man. Completely insane. But if you don't go by that, by that system, then there's something wrong with you, right? You got to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and all this kind of bullshit rhetoric that they throw at you. It's, oh man, it makes you want to just just bang your head on the wall.
Yeah, you got to goose step to the drum beat of life. I mean, it's that ridiculous. So we're forced to goose step. So it is fascism to say, the right to die should not be in the hands of the people.
Oh, totally. Yeah. If you're not in control of
away,
yourself. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that takes away all of your rights. Without if you're not allowed to have control over your body, then you have no rights.
Yeah. And then you act out in ways that you wouldn't, because if you did have control, because now you've kind of resorted to some kind of a extreme thinking, this I've got to get out of this thinking, how fear creates irrationality. So now you've caused a lot of chaotic thinking in your mind, and you do impulsive things that you normally wouldn't have do if you had a relaxed peaceful pill in your hand or whatever. Instead you're like, oh shit, I gotta get out. Oh shit, you know what I mean? And then you're just running for the first train you see or whatever it is.
Exactly. I bet you anything, if everybody had access to the peaceful pill, people would hang around longer, maybe. Or if they took the peaceful pill, at least it would be peaceful. At least it wouldn't be something tragic. At least, your mom wouldn't walk on you, open the door and walk on you dangling from a ceiling fan. Or
well, hopefully it would eliminate the taboo of it all too, so you could have these conversations with your family, and just like you would with your sweet 16 party, you'd be like, guys, hey, I'm having my exit party, or whatever you call it. And I know it's sad, I get how it's sad and it could be heartbreaking, but you get rid of a lot of that stigma and taboo. People could treat it more as a wedding rather than a funeral.
Oh, exactly. And as long as society at large continues to try to shut down the conversation, it's going to be like this, where people are forced into doing crazy things. We're forced into silence, suffering, and forced to suffer in silence. So we have to make, like I said, we have to create an environment where talking about ending your life is just as normal as, talking about your day at work.
Or having a baby,
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be totally normal. Because we're all gonna go through it, and I don't even want to see my enemies suffer, unless they've done something horrible to me that kind of evens it out. But but especially somebody I don't know, because people should have empathy, and they don't. It's like, I think maybe at some point humans might have had empathy, but if so, it's been bred out of us through wrongful bad information and lies and terrible upbringing and terrible governments and religion and anything that was any good that we had in us. I really think it's been bred out of us, over the course of humanity. Uh, it's really sad and that's kind of just again another level of collapse of how far over the cliff.
Are you frozen there?
Okay, you're back. Yeah, you froze there for a second.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, it does say my internet connection is unstable. Box is lit up and everything. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. That sounds like you're good now.
Sorry, I was going to try to repeat what I was saying, and I just forgot it.
Oh, no worries.
Oh, I think we got most of it.
Yeah.
I think we got all of it, actually.
Oh yeah, this is some great stuff.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Is there anything about collapse specifically you'd want to talk about, Joey? The part that you're an expertise in, and then I'm definitely not.
It's a heavy subject. It's hard. It's hard for most people to even have a conversation about it, other than people who follow the information and are following the events and looking at the science and looking at satellite data, and like we're at so carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas. All of the greenhouse gases are off the charts, and they don't need to make the charts bigger because there's no point. Because that means that we're at levels that were the end Permian extinction. I forget how long ago that was. Right now, my brain's lapsing, but we're at or above those levels when the prior extinctions, the Permian extinction. I think it was like about 90% of species went extinct. It was a huge number. The only thing that really made it through were little things like fungi, and germs, just bacteria and things like that. And we're already back to that level. The only reason we're still here is because of lag time. Greenhouse gases do have a lag time. The Earth was so abundant, especially to create us. The Earth was so abundant then. The only reason we're still here is because of we're waiting for the lag to kick in, and carbon dioxide has a 10-year lag. So we're only feeling the effects of right now. The planet's only feeling the effects of where we were at, 10 years ago with population and pollution. But methane is 100 times more powerful than CO2, and methane only has like a year lag time, and methane is off the charts. What I wanted to say about CO2 was that there was an organization called 350.org that Bill McKinnon started, and it was just another money grab, a bullshit lie conservation kind of thing. And he made a lot of money off of donations off of that. So the deal was we had to keep CO2 below 350 parts per million. Well, we're at 421 parts per million today. So we've definitely failed. we blew that out of the water we blew 350 out of the water a long time ago, and it's getting really, really bad now. Again, methane only has about a year lag time. Locally, the heating is felt immediately. And Dr. Natalia Shakova, years ago, she's a great Arctic scientist. Her and her husband, Igor Semailtov, they discovered that there was 5 gigatons, upwards of 5 gigatons under the ice in the Arctic, that as the ice melts, that's going to come up and release. And that's happening. It's happening now. But not that much, luckily, but again, it's off the charts all over the globe. It destroyed the jet stream, both of the northern and southern hemisphere jet streams. They're not supposed to cross the Arctic. They're supposed to stay up there. Well, now they're all over the place. It's just, if you look at Null School, it's a satellite data website, earthnullschool.com. You can look at the jet stream on that website, and it is just a mangled piece of a bad hair day. It's insane. So that's going to cause crop failures. That's why, remember last winter, Texas froze. That was my friend Kevin Hester, he puts it really well. That's the Arctic, the cold air out of the Arctic bleeding out, the way he puts it. And I think it's really well said. And that, again, that's why Texas froze last winter. And it causes things that aren't supposed to happen with humans and this as much life as we have on the planet. It's not supposed to happen. And unfortunately it is, because we've just overshot and ruined everything. There's so many other factors too, and it's not just those greenhouse gases. There's many more. You got nitrous oxide off the charts. Water vapor is also a greenhouse gas. A hotter planet is a wetter planet. With each degree of temperature rise that the planet gets, adds 7% more water vapor. And I don't know if you've ever heard of atmospheric rivers. We're seeing atmospheric rivers, which is basically literally a river of rain forming and then falling down on one area in a period of time, to where within 5 to 10 minutes, what looks like a puddle is now a flash flood. And there was a really, really bad one in Waverly, Tennessee, at Loretta Lynn's house, probably about 6 or so months ago. The video footage from that is horrific. You can literally see from some video footage of the water levels rising so quickly, and that'll take people by storm. And the planet is a living, breathing, a living planet. And just like us, if we run a fever and we don't get our temperature down, we're going to get very sick and we're going to die. So in order for the Earth to create this abundance of life that it had created, it was roughly 13.5 C global average temperature. Now we're right around 2.5 degrees overheating, and 3 degrees is human extinction. So, and not saying that as soon as we hit 3 degrees, we're all dead. It's not going to happen like that, but we can't afford any more heating. But because of all the feedback loops, everything that we've done, everything going off the charts, it's only going to get hotter. There's a guy, John Doyle. You can check out my interview with him on my channel. He's worked for the UN. I'm sorry, not the UN, the EU, the European Union. He works for the European Union, and he believes over 10C is baked in. 10C, we're talking the entire oceans evaporate. And I think maybe that happens around 5 feet. So, I mean, this is way, way, way overcooking. People that have these elaborate bunkers, the one we joke about, the 1% of their bunkers, they won't be able to last much longer than we will. That's how the planet is turning. It will turn to Venus. All the oceans will evaporate, and it's really incredible. And it's not just John Doyle saying this. I mean, there's other scientists, of course, Guy McPherson. If you look at anybody that has any, wants to learn more, best thing is he's got GuyMcPherson.com, climate change and summary. He's got all the reviewed papers, published peer-reviewed papers, all the other scientists, with their little experiments and what they've come to find out with their experiments and studies. All that is linked and it's a very long read. It's basically like a book that and again linked to all the papers. It's pretty horrifying. And so a lot of people think that when collapse happens, everything will, as long as you don't get shot or whatever. No, we all need a habitable planet in order to survive. And we're going the route of Venus, and things are cascading, happening faster and faster. So once we got above 0.5 C, too hot, running that kind of fever. Once we got above 0.5 C, there was no going back. Now that we're at 2.5, it's gonna go really quick. And for comparison, it was only back in next month, March would be 2 years ago when we crossed 2C. So it's taken us a couple hundred years to get of burning fossil fuels, a couple hundred years to get to 2C. But in just a couple of years, we've gone another half a degree, or roughly half a degree. So you can kind of see how fast things are developing.
Wow, it's great information. Thanks. I think you stalled out, or it like kind of froze at just the last 30 seconds ish or so, but the rest of it was I think it was clear, but maybe the last minute or so, you think I think we got the most of it, the gist of it though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for sharing. We appreciate it.
Yeah, this is stuff I don't study, so I don't have anything to add, but it's
yeah, it's like me too. I mean, I know that we are causing global warming, but I'm not sure about I'm not sure if it's going to kill everything. I'm not sure like when the critical point is going to happen. And it's like, it's like I take the position that coming into existence is a harm. So when you said Venus, I couldn't help but think, if Earth turned out to be Venus to begin with, we wouldn't have any of this bullcrap to deal with. No animals or humans being tortured and maimed. No predator versus prey.
Exactly. That's one way that I can kind of get peace with it, for that exact reason. Because I look at it too, like exactly like you said, any predator and prey. Every animal, every living being has to eat, has to survive. It's afraid of everything that's going to eat it. So your whole life is in fear of trying not to die, trying not to be killed, murdered, eaten, whatever it is that you are. For humans, trying not to have the other human kill us, or be able to get along with the guy at work so we can keep our jobs, or even find a job. Life is really just a struggle. For most people, life is such a struggle that it's oftentimes worth living.
Yeah, it's like, I totally agree. And, on the fundamental levels, it's like all life, animals and humans, were kind of coerced to live long enough to breed before death. That's why we have sexual desires, pain receptors, It's all about keeping the pack alive. It's all about preventing groups of species from going extinct. And now we have this brain, we can kind of see how screwed up this game is and try to educate people about what the hell is going on. And a lot of people don't want to hear it because society tends to find truth as information that makes them feel good. You know, that's why religion is so prevalent. It makes them feel good to think, well, you know, this dirt circle of death isn't all there is. You know, we're going to be in heaven for eternity. So, you know, people don't want to face really hard truths. So that's why we are controversial, I guess, because it scares them. Because deep down, I think a lot of them know that we're right.
Well, it's like even just the fact that other extinction events have happened, like us knowing they're going to happen even after us, if the world doesn't explode or whatever, you know, like some other species could evolve and return back to dinosaur mode or whatever. And, you know, the bigger questions are, you know, what, now that we have intelligence and technology, you know, is it ethical for us to kind of to say, hey, like we should stop this continuation of insane suffering? And, you know, like this collapse thing, will the animals survive a collapse that you talk about? Will the animals continue through, do you think? Or what's Guy's opinion on that, do you know?
Oh no, so here's another problem that we've created. Once we collapse, there's about 450 nuclear power plants running on the planet. All those will melt down, and that'll just emit ionizing radiation.
Oh, okay.
And ionizing radiation, and that's a lot of that heating is where you're going to get upwards of 5-10 C, you know, over global 5 to 10 C, overall heating. Nothing survives that.
Okay.
And that's what'll it'll, again, the oceans will evaporate.
Wow.
There won't be anything left here, and that's really hard to imagine. I know, because we look outside and we hear the birds chirping, and you know the trees are still green in a lot of places, but not everywhere. Like I have a friend in Hawaii. It's so hot in Hawaii right now that he doesn't work during the day. He sleeps during the day and works at night, because it's too hot there. The planet at the temperature that it's at now, there's never been humans on the planet. At level that we're at. So it's really, really hard to fathom all of this going away. But you know, again, there is that lag time with the greenhouse gases. And over the course of the prior mass extinction events, the rate of a species going extinct was one per. It was a long period of time. I can't remember the term, but it would take years for one species to go extinct. Again, we're driving over, at this point now, we're driving over 200 species extinct every day. And that's a rate of change, you know, that people have a hard time understanding. Exponential, you know, it's you take 2 pennies and then you double them every day, you know, that's exponential. After a week, you still only have a few pennies. After a year, you got a couple bucks. But when, you know, once you get to $100 and that starts doubling and it continues on, you know, that's exponential change. People have a hard time coming to terms with.
Okay.
Sorry, you cut out a little bit.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I think we got you till the snowball idea. Yeah. But that's crazy to think about. Like, yeah, geez. And the suffering that could endure chronically throughout some years and years and years, you know, until extinction happens, seems unnecessary to me. Seems like wasted suffering to me, you know.
Yeah.
And I just don't get why we wouldn't consider doing something about that. But I
have a
guess
friend that I have
that's
a friend
crazy
that
thinking, I guess.
he
Oh.
drinks 1 can of coffee a month, and he's about 6 or so months ago, he said, "Yeah, I got 12 cans of coffee. I think that's about all I'm gonna need." And looking at how hot things are getting, he's got like 5 cans of coffee. So he's like, "Yep, we got 5 months." And man, it's a funny analogy, but you know, funny not funny, but man, he's pretty spot on. Um, I can't argue with him. You know, I'm in what I'm seeing, and again, the levels of everything are just going off the charts. You know, that's why I appreciate these conversations about the right to die, the right to no longer exist, because before people even realize it, they're going to be looking for a way out, because nobody survives an habitable planet. You know, and everybody thinks that, oh, we'll just, when collapse happens, we just won't have jobs. That'll be great. You know, we'll just stay at home all the time. But no, it's not going to be like that. And again, you know, you're not going to have water. You know, you need that. You're not going to have electricity. The power plants will melt down. You know, 911 will truly be a joke. Your phone won't work. You know, it's like full on collapse. There won't be any fuel left, because that's the other thing that I wanted to mention too, is we've done this experiment on the planet where we've literally dug up basically all of the fossil fuels stored in the planet, burned it up into the atmosphere all in about a couple hundred years. And again, that's exponential change. That's why this extinction event is so much faster. If you look at the old models, like I was saying, it took millions of years for a little bit of a change to occur. Now, because of what we've done, it won't take millions of years. Every day will be basically a war with the environment. You know, it's scary to think about. Again, that's why people really need to have an exit plan in place. You know, we all would need one when we get old and slowly die. Unfortunately, whatever age you're at today, I really don't think you're gonna like, if a kid that's born today, I really don't think he'll see 1 or 2. Really don't.
It won't see
And
what?
1
or
or
2
2.
years. Yeah.
Think it's that close, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wow, it's interesting. Jeez.
I have
Yeah.
to admit that I am not educated on the climate thing. I mean, I have like a rudimentary, like very, very elementary knowledge on like climate. I mean, I understand like climate history. I'm more familiar with that and all the calamities and stuff. But yeah, I don't really I don't really know. It's like if we have 2 years left, if we have 200 years left. But one thing I do know, you know, the earth will collapse regardless of what happens. I mean, a billion years from now, I think about a billion years from now, the earth will become uninhabitable because of our sun. It will reach the red giant phase and roast everything alive. So it's like, I think, you know, my opinion is like the earth has been collapsing since it has been created. It's just collapsing around the sun,
Yeah.
torturing living things. Yeah, so, but yeah, I definitely will try to educate myself better on this issue.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
We really appreciate you sharing this, by the way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I do private Zooms as well with, you know, for people that are out that understand what's going on. That it's called Guy McPherson is the forefront of the information concerning near-term human extinction. And he actually does private Zooms as well. And I used to help out with those and would host some of them, or when he signed off, I would hang out and kind of help run the group and stuff. And I also do my own. So you guys are always welcome. I always tell people to email me at practicetrack@yahoo.com, because a lot of people don't want to come on, my live stream and talk about it, because they have to protect their name. This is, when you're talking about suicide, or or the right to suicide, and different methods. Most people won't talk methods, and I'm open to that, because I want to be educated myself. Somebody out there knows more than I do about that, and collectively, we help each other, with different methods. Like, there's so many products and materials that you need to make your whatever it is, your method work. So somebody might be able to get nitrous, or sodium nitrite, and somebody else might not be able to get that. Somebody else might be able to get the nitrous oxide, or I'm sorry, nitrogen or helium. Somebody else might not be able to get that. So we can help each other in so many ways, not just in ways of information, but hey, I know where I can get this, and so knows where they can get that, and we can all have our 5 different kits, backup plans, all ready to go for when it's time. And my joke is, if you can still order a pizza, and and you're not dying of an illness, it's not time yet. So I'm still ordering pizza. So all is good for now, but soon that's going to go away, and then there's going to be nothing but true hardcore suffering. And again, so I do private Zooms, and I encourage people to email me at practicetrack@yahoo.com. And I do a group every once a week for however long we hang out. And obviously that's not recorded, so we can talk and share our everything that other people might not be comfortable with talking about in public.
Thank you so much for doing that. Yeah, I appreciate
Yeah.
it. It's something that it's therapeutic too, if anything, to go somewhere and feel like you're not alone, and people of like-mindedness. People do that for quilting class. They all are happy they're together because they love quilting, and it's like, for something like this that's so freaking important. I appreciate you offering that out, for sure.
Yeah, thank you
Absolutely.
so much. I second that.
I'm happy to do it. Like I said, it's therapy for me as well, so it's a win-win.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, for sure. Is there anything you'd like to share as far as your promoting your YouTube channel? Obviously, we'll have links for that, of course.
Absolutely.
But is there anything as far as
Thank you
collapsing?
guys. No, thank you guys. I really appreciate you having me on. Just talking to you guys and this interview helps me out tremendously, because there's so many people that are appreciative of your guys' work. And I actually found you guys from a friend of mine in my group. So and through Guy McPherson's group as well. And but definitely check out Guy McPherson, GuyMcPherson.com, and Kevin Hester. Kevin is nobody has interviewed as many uh, climate scientists as Kevin has. Him and I used to host a radio show called Nature Bats Last on PRN FM network. Nobody has interviewed as many climate scientists as they have. So their information is it's all, they back up their information, obviously, because they're professional journalists. And again, Guy's an emeritus professor from the University of Arizona. He's just a plethora of information. He's the most important whistleblower of our time, even more important, I think, than Michael Rupert was, even more important than a Mumia Abdul-Jamal or a Luther King. So it's really a privilege that we have. We can actually reach out and email these people, Zoom with them, and talk about. And these guys know history. They're historians as well. Guy has also a bachelor's or a minor, I'm sorry, in economics. He fully understands the economic situation and how it pertains to the environmental situation, because the two are directly connected. The more money we make, the more we pollute and heat up. The more we pollute the environment, heat up the planet. So even the green, the whole green movement, there's nothing green about 8 billion people, no matter how you do it. Professor Tim Garrett out of University of Utah has 5 different peer-reviewed papers with his experiments showing that nothing is green. To run society, it's going to heat the planet, no matter how you do it. Mining lithium for electrical batteries is, they're rare earths because they're rare. They're not sustainable and they're not green. And just like, all the different green energies, they're trying to, it's just a way to sell people on that they're working on fixing it. People buy it, it makes them go to work another day and keeps them at the voting polls to thinking that they're active in a system that completely ignores them, because let's face it, voting works. But yeah, that's, sorry, I kind of went off on a rant there myself too.
No, you're fine. You're fine. It happens to the best of us.
Oh yeah, thanks for sharing all that information. That's important, and we'll add links into the show notes for as many as those things that he said. I'll get you from after the show or whatever links you want me to share. And of course, check him out on Collapsing with Casey on YouTube. It's great stuff where you just feel like you're hanging out with a friend, which I like.
Absolutely. Better therapy than any counselor.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. There's no doctor that's going to understand your situation. And again, like they're not trained in that way. We have no healthcare in this country is completely false. We have no healthcare. It's just embarrassing. We're the only first world nation that doesn't have free public healthcare, and the healthcare that we do have, it's overpriced and it's shitty.
Oh yeah, it's insane. And ironically, you'd save money having universal healthcare. That's proven.
Yep, absolutely.
Well,
doctors and more compassion, and in New Zealand, they actually had a law on the books, a right to die law on the books. I found that out from Kevin Hester. I asked him if he was going to vote in the last election, and he said, yeah, actually, because of that issue, we would never have that.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I just got this idea. It might be a harebrained scheme or a harebrained scheme, but I wonder if like in 2024, we should, people who want the right to no longer exist should just vote that, write that in.
Yeah.
I want the right to no longer exist. I wonder like if that would like give some like optics of how many people want this. It's just a thought. I mean, it's not the emotion. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah. I mean, it's right action. It's definitely right action. And even if we could get millions of people to do it, again, just like that big protest that I was telling you guys about, it's just going to unfortunately fall on deaf ears, especially in this country. That's what, like you guys said, that's what is great about these talks, the therapy for us. Only people
Absolutely.
that help us is each other.
We
Yeah.
have too many deaf ears in this country, and that's why we need to be as loud as we can.
Yes,
Yeah, man.
absolutely. Because it's like such a slow moving train for 30 years or whatever, like Death with Dignity came out and great, but it hasn't actually done anything at all, really, and it's been kind of stagnant for 30 years since, I mean, people take advantage of it, but it's literally 200 or 300, per year when millions want it. So there's a huge gap there that hopefully we can close if at all, even if it's a tiny bit, then, us having chats like this is worth it for sure.
We are dedicated. We are not going to give up. And that's the important thing, just keep trucking
Yeah.
along for what's right.
Exactly. Yeah, like I said, it's right action, and I commend you guys for that, because that's all that exists, in my opinion, is just doing right action.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. Preventing suffering is the biggest thing. So thanks so much, Joey. Really appreciate your time and your ideas and thoughts. This was really a great podcast to me. So
Thank you
so
guys, man. I
Yeah, no
enjoyed it.
problem. Thank you for being on. And also thanks for having us on a few months back too. We really appreciate that.
Yes.
Yeah, we got to do it again. We can make it a reoccurring thing, because I love talking to you guys. I love listening to your podcast as well.
Thanks.
A lot of people can say that it's like, beating a dead horse, but so is everything. Everything that we're up against, they're all using the same beating the dead horse to back their side. It's total bullshit. It's lies and based on nothing, based on faith. I mean,
Yeah.
what the fuck is that?
Well,
At least we're based on science and truth, and that's what's most important.
Well, some people are
Love.
into sports or whatever it is that they're into, and like fine, but I feel like something we're doing is actually could be some tangible prevention of actual suffering. If you sell, ice cream in a truck in the corner of a neighborhood, cool for you, but it's, I don't know, bad example, but you're not making much of a change. But I hope that we are doing something that could eventually be, anyway, I'm not optimistic. I'll say that.
Well, it's like, we do got some projects coming up. We're all going to collaborate on a right to no longer exist letter that outlines like concrete policies. And I think that will further advance, this movement.
Yeah, we're gonna like kind of line out what would an ideal right to die society look like, and what safeguards would be in place, what restrictions, if at all, would there be, and we're gonna make kind of a cool video, like trying to explain. It's a kind of a proposal for what a perfect one could look like. Trying to compromise, obviously, too, because we're obviously so extreme that we feel anybody should have it at any time, no questions asked, but we have to kind of sort of pander to this world we live in. So it's a thin line to walk, and we have to kind of compromise, like what could be the realistic change that would head towards an ideal one for us. But if we propose our one, then obviously I think it would just be perceived as some extreme goofball thing, So,
but then again, what was considered extreme before is normal now.
Yeah, like don't have slaves.
Yeah, exactly. Or, even gay marriage was considered extreme or something like that. But these people fought for it. They fought for it, no matter what adversities they faced, and they won.
Yeah.
So
this really could be the next biggest human rights issue next after slavery. I think factory farming and the lack of right to die is probably the two biggest things that humans don't realize what they're doing is the biggest evil created. That's my opinion.
Yeah, hopefully we can be good revolutionaries in this fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you guys are definitely revolutionaries. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks again, Joey, for joining us. We really appreciate it. Check out his YouTube channel and all the other information that he's talked about. And thanks again. See you next time on the Right to No Longer Exist podcast. Have a good day.
You have been listening to the Right to No Longer Exist, a Right to Die podcast. We hope that you have enjoyed your time and found the information valuable. Please visit us at rightttonolongerexist.com to learn more about our organization and mission statement. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at The Right to No Longer Exist. There you will find links to our individual channels as well. If you would like to contact us directly, please email info@therightttonolongerexist.com. Thank you for your time, and let's remember that during the time that it took to listen to this podcast, dozens, if not hundreds of people endured a horrific death by suicide. Let's fight together for a world where this doesn't happen anymore. See you next time on the Right to No Longer Exist podcast.